Hi, I'm Murray McLaughlin, and welcome to this very special edition of Swingin' on the Star. Today's show is real special because my special guest is Joni Mitchell. The other special thing is it's awful quiet in here, and it's because we got no studio audience, I guess. You know, it must be the flu season. Except for Joni's folks. They're out there. You want to clap? There, all three of them, they're out there. And Larry Klein is here. But he's not a studio audience. I would have got around to that, you know, I really would have. I mean, there's no sense getting picky about this. I didn't know whether to introduce you right off the top as Mr. and Mrs. Klein because it would give away your secret cover name in hotel rooms. I'll just call you Mr. and Mrs. Bridge. Anyway, there's nobody here but us. But I'm quite content with that, and I hope you're all real content with that out there in Radio Land. We got our usual band members here, Mr. Danny Greenspoon on the guitar, and Mr. Kip Johnson on the bass. So without further ado, I'm going to do the first song because, you know, your songs are like so signature that there's very few of them that an artist of such limited potential as myself could possibly attempt.
Oh, God, he's having a humble attack.
Yeah, it's really uncharacteristic. But I love this song. I mean, I've heard a lot of people do it, and I've always kind of wanted to sing it, and I sort of sat down in the last couple of days and learned it. And I'm sure that anyone who's a folk fan will instantly recognize it as one of the great rock and roll hits of all time, and about a signature event which occurred in the 1960s when many people descended on New York State to a place called the Asger's Farm. It's a song called Woodstock.
Child of God, he was walking along the road, and I asked him, where are you going? And this he told me, I'm going on down to Asger's Farm. I'm gonna join in a rock and roll band. I'm gonna camp out on the land and try and get my soul free. We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Can I walk beside you? I have come here to lose the smug, and I feel to be a cog in something turning. Well, maybe it's just the time of year, maybe it's the time of man, but I don't know who I am. You know life is for learning. We are stardust, we are golden. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden. ourselves back to the garden. By the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong. And everywhere there was song and a celebration. And I dreamed I saw the bombers riding shotgun in the sky. They were turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, cotton the devil's bargain. And we've got to get ourselves back to the garden.
Well, that was a pretty signature version of Woodstock, I think.
Really nice, really good.
I mean, you're the author, and you have to be. You got to be pretty critical about this.
I jammed on that. It's like a red letter day.
Do you think, like if Dave and Steve and Graham were here, that they'd get mad at us for copying any of their licks?
I think a big fight would ensue over. No, man, that's the wrong harmony. You see, in our church we sang it this way. No, man, in our church we sang it this way.
Just in case anybody didn't get the information off the top of the show because of the usual rambling introduction that I do out of whatever passes for my brain, Mr. Larry Klein and Mrs. Klein are here today. Joni Mitchell, better known as professionally. And why don't we just sort of jump away from the formalities and go straight to you guys playing something together, and then we can blab later.
Let's start with Cherokee Louise. This is a new song. It's not out yet. I don't know what's your airing time.
When's the show?
February 21st. This thing comes out. It's out.
It's out.
This is a song off the new album called Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise is hiding in this tunnel in the Broadway Bridge. We're crawling on our knees. We've got flashlights and batteries. We've got cold cuts from the fridge. Last year about this time we used to climb up in the branches just to sway there in some breeze. Now the cops on the street, they want poor Cherokee Louise. People like to talk, tongues are wagging over fences, wagging over phones. All their doors are locked. God, she can't even come to our house, but I know where she'll go. The place where you can stand and press your hands like it was bubble bathing, and dust piled high as me down under the street. My friend, poor Cherokee Louise. Ever since we turned 13, it's like a minefield walking to the door. You get the 3rd degree, and coming in you get the 3rd World War. Tuesday after school school, we put our pennies on the rails, and when the train rolled by, we were jumping down like fools, going, look, no heads or tails, going, look, my lucky prize. She runs home to her foster dad. He opens up a zipper and he yanks her to her knees. Oh, please be here, please, my friend, poor Cherokee Louise. They saw Cherokee Louise is hiding in this tunnel in the Broadway Bridge. We're crawling on our knees. We've got Archie and Silver Screen. I know where she is. In the place where you can stand and press your hands like it was bubble bath in dust pile high as me. Down under the street, my friend, poor Cherokee Louise. 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 One fine clam in there.
That was a beaut. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's, you know, that's part of the...
You want it perfect? We go for it again?
You know, I mean, some people call that soul. You know, making clams is really good. I mean, unless they're like those kind of, you know...
Especially in the chatter.
Well, actually, they're not so bad, you know, if you have an F sharp against an F or something, you know. It's not so bad.
No, it's okay.
I mean, like you do that on purpose.
Yeah, they'll just think it's a weird chord, right?
They think it's art. And if you really, like, put your lip out and refuse to back down, they'll believe it.
Yeah, if you play it twice, it's yours.
Yeah, it's the definition of art. It's like when you browbeat people into believing it.
So you want us to do another one, or?
No, let's gab for a while. I think gabbing is a good thing to do for a little while. I mean, you know, I want you to do another one, so don't put your guitar too far away.
No, just put it
or anything like that. You have an incredible memory for minute events and all of their little colors and textures. I've like been amazed by your recollection of what people were wearing, what they were eating, who moved where, who had what in their pocket, what kind of shoelaces they were wearing, what they were sewing, what the brand names were, where they left lipstick on the glasses, blah, 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 blah. I mean, from events that you're describing that happened like 10 years ago.
That's kind of the strong suit of my memory. It's like it stores, if I've witnessed it and I've been alert, you know, if I found it interesting, usually that's the criteria for being awake or asleep, you know. It stores like film and you can recall it. However, the weak suit is proper names of anything, names of streets, names of countries, names of heads of state, movie stars, Trivial Pursuits. That kind of memory is just,
you never get the sports questions.
No way, you know, that's all gone.
Yeah, with me it's balancing a checkbook.
I should live in Tokyo because they don't name the streets over there. You know, they find it all kind of Pathfinder. It's like... That's why
you were there just recently, weren't you? Like reasonably recently for having an art show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you've been doing a lot of traveling around the world with your paintings, which I mean a lot of people know about, but maybe some people don't. That you have gained as much of an international reputation as a visual artist. I love that phrase. It sounds so toffee-nosed.
I've had these opportunities recently to either exhibit or to have a show for sale. In Tokyo, I sold the work, which in a way I kind of regret because up until then it had no value, really, and no monetary value. I a friend of mine had her house appraised, and the guy was walking along, and she collects folk art, and she had a drawing of mine on the wall, and the suffragist man stopped in front of it, and he said, "Joni Mitchell, the Joni Mitchell," and he nodded his head approvingly and wrote down value nothing, which was perfect because, you know, at that point you could give the stuff away. Now you can't. If you give it away now, you have to pay like a gift tax on it. It's
in many respects, like your songwriting career is more like, can be more likened to painting perhaps than your painting career, because your songwriting career has much more distinct periods, like where that was that, that's over, this is this, that's over. In the sense that, like, you have probably the greatest dedication to the idea of being, like, you know, jaw jutting out, iron-willed, boom, you know, serious attitude, capital A artist. I mean, to the exclusion of all else. I mean, you're about as iron-assed about it as anybody I've ever met. Would you say that's an adequate appraisal?
Yeah, come on that, right?
That's a compliment, believe it or not.
No, I know it is.
Sort of the Murray Scottish version of a compliment.
Your compliment there. It's in Japan. This one guy said to me, Joni-san, how you get so strong-willed? And I said, well, you know, I had a lot of childhood illness. I think that's it. I think that had it not been for the undermining of physical strength by a lot of childhood illness, because, you know, I've got a kind of a strong body in a certain way. I would have been an athlete. I probably would have been. And I would not have developed such an inner life. Kind of the counter pain, you know, lying on your back in hospitals and staring at knotholes and drips in the walls. And you develop a kind of a depth, and I don't mean that as like, I'm deeper than you, man, or you just naturally, little kids that have had life and death battles develop an old soul quality, you know, and an ability to see through things that people don't generally. You see little cancer victims, and not all of them. Some of them just, you know, go to their death whimpering and whining, you know, but the ones that stand up and face it get a man, you know, like, I'm thinking, because on tape I've only seen men children. I haven't seen girls facing that problem, but the little men that I saw in the cancer wards, they were something else. If they kept their spirit up. I learned a lot about spirit with childhood illness, and that's where you get the strong-jawedness thing. You know, I'm always saying spirit this and spirit that, and keep your spirit up, and that spirit and this spirit. You know, I think that's spiritual. Has nothing to do with religious. Just spiritual.
I meant more in the sense of being extremely inflexible as far as any outside influence on the direction that you choose to go in at any particular time is concerned, be it management, be it record company, be it friends going, no, shriek, don't do it, blah.
Oh yeah, well, you face, like, you know, you're always faced with options, right? Creative options, life choice options, and so often your choices are tepid, you know, or dull, and so given a direction presented to you that interests you, I always follow that, you know. I mean, and people have a hard time talking me out of it. They can kind of make my spirit alter, you know, like my enthusiasm for that direction go down. There's a delicate point where I am swayable, and I can go down and examine another point of view. But if mine still, even in the down space, is stronger, bam, I'll follow it, definitely. Because strong, given 5 tepid options and one kind of crazy idea that is, you don't know where it's going to lead. 5 bad options, you know where they're going, and one that's kind of crazy and you're not sure. I'd take the uncertain route every time, yeah.
You've probably revealed more about yourself through your work than anybody else I've ever met, too. Is that another deal, like, from that kind of courageousness of being, like, when you were a little kid? It's... To me, that's always been one of the definitions of what an artist is, that they make contact with other people by ripping themselves open to the extent that they strike a sympathetic chord in somebody who recognizes themselves in what it is that the artist does. And you have an incredibly fanatical group of, I hate to use the word followers, it makes you sound like Reverend Moon, but never, I don't think I've ever encountered, you know, among people the kind of rabid fascination that some of your fans have.
Well, you know, part of the reason for becoming a confessional poet was, okay, let's see if you love me now, huh? You know, I mean, because here you are in this popularity game, you know, and the tradition of the popular artist is to be bigger than life and sexier than anyone, and real bushy-tailed. What would happen if you weren't? What would happen if you say, look, you know, like, I'm a bit of a,
you know, I'm really kind of a mess and I am selfish, you know, like if you begin to expose more and more of your humanness in the art of the short story, that's the meat that it's made of. All literature contains real human experience, whereas pop arena contains a lot of gloss and nonsense. You know, the question was, could you put those two things together and survive? And then I got to the place where it was all I was capable of anyway. Nothing mattered to me really but honesty. And being a loner, isolated by diseases, moving around a lot, I learned somehow or other cumulatively the strength to stand alone. I'm an only child. So the worst that could happen to me would be I was ostracized, and I had been through that many times and lived, you know, either ostracized with disease or new kid on the block or whatever, you know, leaving a gang because the direction that they were headed in was not mine, you know, and once again looking for your people. There's pros and cons to taking that direction. This one girl, I'll tell you this one story, this is one of my favorite compliments I ever received. Again, the New York attitude. We'd been up jamming all night in this club in New York, and it was now daylight out on the streets, and the idea of like heading out after an all-night session into those streets was like kind of like everybody was really wilted, and this little 18-year-old girl came up to me and she said, "Joni, I just want to thank you for shaping my morality." You know, so I said, "Well, why don't you shape mine?" And she said, No, you asshole. All you said was, you know, I like this and I don't like that, and I thought you was right.
You want to do another song?
Sure.
That'd be nice. You don't want to get off too deeply into the meaning of meaning here. Or
No,
like I mean, this is
true.
This is a gig, you know. You gotta play.
Once in a while, in a big blue moon, there comes a night like this. Like some surrealist invented this 4th of July night ride home. Hula girls and caterpillar tractors in the sand. Ukulele man, the fireworks this 4th of July night ride home. I love the man beside me. We love the open road. No phone, still Friday. Far from the overkill, far from the overload. Back at the bar, the band tears down, but out here in the headlight beams, the silver power lines gleam on this 4th of July night ride home. Round the curve in a big dark horse, red taillights on his high. Right alongside, rev for stride, 4th of July night ride home. I love the man beside me. We love the open road. No phone, still Friday. Far from the overkill, far from the overload. Once in a while, in a big blue moon, there comes a night like this. Like some surrealist invented this 4th of July night ride home. On a night ride home. Night ride home.
that's lovely.
Oh, thank you.
I was just like going for a drive in the car with me dad at night.
We got a cricket on the track, you know, when
Did
we
you?
recorded it. He flew into the studio behind the curtain with the door open.
Oh, it wasn't intentional. You didn't buy him in a little cage. And...
No, he flew right into the studio like a lucky thing, and so we dadded him, and stuck him in the Fairlight, and gave him the downbeat.
Oh, that's great. Are you going to play something on the piano today? Like other than that wonderful job you did accompanying on Woodstock there?
I don't remember
Do you have a piano
anything
song?
on the piano.
I bet you if you sat down and played it for a while, you probably would.
I could noodle for you if you like.
Noodle?
Just noodle, you know, just a little chordal noodling.
Oh, you mean like a work in progress?
Right?
Yeah,
I
okay.
can- Let's see if I can remember that one.
A little inventive melody. Write lyrics while you go.
You better leave now, take what you need, you think will last. Take what you have gathered from
Whatever you want to... Oh, yeah, this'll work.
Take what you need now, you better leave now, you think will last. Whatever you want to keep, you better grab it fast. Over there's your orphan with his gun. Crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, the saints are coming through. Almost. And it's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use good sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. The empty-handed painter from your street is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets.
Oh, shoot. If I had the words, I could sing that to those changes, but nah, I'm real rusty on it, Murray.
That's nice, though. I mean, I think, you know, until you collided with that minor chord, it was the only problem. That was the only bit that kept getting troublesome.
Yeah, no,
I think Bob would have been proud of you.
Yeah.
You certainly did it better than Bob did the last time I saw him.
Got Bob-itis.
There's a standing joke in Canada that L.A. is the fourth largest Canadian city.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, do you still feel a sense of apartness there?
I'm not a joiner, you know, like I think of myself as an international traveler. It's more, I'm not a fan of boundaries. I think, you know, like, I mean, philosophically, where a road goes, this is not a realistic point of view, this is like just an overview, where a road goes, where a wire goes, where a country line goes, the migration of animals are messed up, and, you know, it just causes all sorts of global grief. It's inevitable because, you know, we're so overpopulated, and lines have to be drawn and territories have to be held, and there's too many people just to lead a tribal existence. But I feel an affinity and a strong tie to the land that I came off of. Larry and I, last summer, we took a drive from the place I was born, Fort Macleod, Alberta, and up through Saskatchewan in the towns that I lived in, and it's always a thrill. Every time I go there, I mean, artists, speaking of artists recharging off their native land, Picasso was an expatriate, I guess, on paper. He lived in Paris, in France most of his life. But every time he went back to Spain, he came back with a new period. There is something about the animal within being on the land that it was born onto in that vicinity that you cannot, that land is always special. As far as embracing the whole country, there's provinces I haven't been to in Canada. I know, I'm more aligned with New York City than I am Halifax. I've never been to Halifax, so.
What?
But I feel like a Saskatchewanian, although oddly enough they don't stock my records in that province. So
Wait a minute. Are you serious? Like they don't
No,
stock your records in Saskatchewan?
Well, they don't in Saskatoon. It's always been a kind of a country and western hotbed, and for a while I resembled a country and western singer, and maybe when I took a jazz band into the Grand Ole Opry, that was it for my Saskatoon sales. I don't know.
There's a period, just like wham, bam, 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 bam. There's a whole pile of albums where a whole pile of hit records happened. There were short, simple, structurally, to the point, cohesive, catchy. And then those kind of songs abruptly stopped.
No, they didn't. People's ability to perceive them stopped. They didn't
Go on,
stop.
yeah.
What happens? This is my take on it anyway. The psychology of a long distance runner. The public's attention span has gotten even shorter over the years. When I entered the game, it was expected that an artist that had something going for them would be developed over a period of 5 projects. Then it would be their time to die. That's pretty much as long a run as you got. And the struggle was after that. The public attention for any artist, no matter how compelling, it was at that time about 5 projects. So if you recouped on your first album, you would still be kept and nurtured, and hopefully you would sell more the next and then the next. Now, it's pretty much reel it up and tear it down. An artist gets, because it's an international market now from the beginning, whereas then it was more of a local market. It goes very high up the flagpole, and then it gets torn apart on the second one. The second one can never seem to match the expectations of the first. Some people endure a little longer than others, usually through shock value, maintaining some kind of noticeability out of all of it, not necessarily by craft or real talent so much as the ability to be compelling or provocative in some way or other. There's so much material out now.
Well, the popular mythology has it that you took an artistic direction where you started writing longer songs that were much more, for want of a better word, artistically oriented, much more descriptive, and that didn't fit conventional or popular radio formats anymore. But it seemed that possibility was a matter of choice, really, rather than a matter.
Help Me was a hit. It was never anything like it. It didn't fit anything conventional. It just so happened that it was the record company's kind of unanimous decision that they liked that one the best at that time, and at that time I was still in a period of favor. If I was a new artist and released Dog Eat Dog, a new personality, if we could kill old Joni off, and set a new puppet, like a new young face up there and put out Dog Eat Dog, I think it would have been responded to entirely differently. But take the normal attention span of an individual. It's not that long. I find it in myself. Everybody compares. If you like the last album, it's like you take out a girl, you have a wonderful first date. Oh, you can hardly wait for the second date. Well, it never measures up because your anticipation is greater than anything, imagination is greater than actuality.
What do you think, Larry?
The first one you locked into.
I don't know if I'd go along.
Larry, he's an exception. This doesn't pertain to him. We're talking about,
Yeah, I know. We're talking figuratively.
Figuratively. But,
you want to, if you're, I was going to ask you before whether you were getting uncomfortable in so much as it was sounding dangerously like an interview.
Oh, I don't mind. I like talking, about the music or anything.
Feel like, perish the thought, maybe, I don't know. playing something?
Oh, I don't want to do that.
I just heard the thunk as the producer's pacemaker hit the floor.
No, we've got one more worked up. You know, I'm just so rusty because, and
Take
also
your
I've
time.
got this
Learn
like
something new.
husky
Oh,
throat.
you're sitting there chain smoking like a weasel, and you're
Oh, but that
complaining
has
about
nothing
your
to do
pipes.
with it.
Give me a break. So what's the song you're gonna do?
We do Hijira.
Okay.
I'm traveling in some vehicle. I'm sitting in some cafe, a defector from the petty wars that shell-shock love away. There's comfort in melancholy when there's no need to explain. It's just as natural as the weather in this moody sky today. In our possessive coupling, so much cannot be expressed. So now I am returning to myself. These things that you and I suppressed, I see something of myself in everyone. Right at this moment of the world, the snow gathers like bolts of lace, waltzing on a bridal girl. You know it never has been easy. Whether you do or you do not resign, whether you travel the breadth of extremities or stick to some straighter line. Now here's a man and a woman sitting on a rock. They're either gonna thaw out or freeze. Listen, I think I hear Miles Davis coming through the snowy trees. We're only particles of change, I know, orbiting around the sun. But how can I keep that lofty point of view? Bound and tied to someone. White flags of winter chimneys, waving truce against the moon. In the mirrors of a modern bank, from the window of my hotel room. I looked at the granite markers, those tributes to finality, to eternity. Then I looked at myself here, chicken scratching for my immortality. In the church they light the candles, and the wax rolls down like tears. There is the hope and the hopelessness I've witnessed all these years. I'm porous with travel fever, but I'm so glad to be on wakes up a trembling in my bones. I know no one's gonna show me everything. I know we come and go unknown, each so deep and so superficial. Between the forceps and the stone, I'm traveling in some vehicle. I'm sitting in some cafe, a defector from the petty wars, till love sucks me back that way.
Well, it's really hard, to do the right thing for, our producer and actually get in after something like that and actually say something. You just want to sort of sit there kind of dumbstruck with your jaw dropped, going, forceps to the stone. Wow, man. And stuff like that. Well, I waited all of my young life for this moment. When I would, actually get to do a duet with Joni Mitchell. I feel suddenly like Julio Iglesias. My time has really come. Now I'm gonna have to get a tan. Okay, this is a pretty well-known song, so I don't think we even have to say that much about it. What do you think, Bert? That's you. That's you.
Oh, Bert! Oh,
Yeah,
I'm looking around the room.
That's you, Bert. Just call me Ernie of the morning, Ernie. Here we go.
Here we go.
So we're gonna do a song again in the all day, all Joni, Swinging on a Star. Yesterday, a child came out to wonder, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again.
Then the child moved 10 times around the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like, when you're older, must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams.
seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town. And they tell him, hey, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your heels to slow those circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. So the years spin by, and now the boy's 20. Though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true, oh, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams and plenty, before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round, and go round and round, and go round and round and round in the circle game. Round in the circle game.
Hey! That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Maria, I just want to thank you really for having me on the show, you know, we've been friends a long time, you know, with gaps in between. We always seem to pick up like it was yesterday, you know. Yeah, my mom's got a drawing that Marie did, like how old you were, what, a teenager or something, hanging on the living room wall. Boy with guitar case, have guitar case, will travel. Sunset, windmill, pastel, very nice.
Romantic vision of myself in one of many probable futures.
No plane in it, you know, not quite that prophetic, but the rest.
Well, I've improved a lot since then. I really have. Actually, I should give you one of something newer. That would be sort of neat, no? Well, that does wrap up today's edition of Swinging on a Star. I'd like to thank very much my special guest, Joni Mitchell.
I thought it was called Swinging at a Star.
It ought to be. I'll be swinging from a star by the neck if I keep this up. Many thanks to Larry Klein. And to our usual regular musician guys, Mr. Danny Greenspoon and Mr. Kit Johnson. I'm Murray McLaughlin, and we'll see you next week for Swinging on a Star.